Trump's campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, denies the accusation. He did that in a tweet from this morning. Quote, "Michelle Fields, you are totally delusional. I never touched you," end quote. And it seems like his boss has his back. Here's what Trump told CNN about the incident in the spin room post-debate.
We're surrounded by Secret Service. We have many Secret Service. You see some of them here. When we left, I spoke to them. Nothing happened. This was, in my opinion, made up.
But Fields tweeted a picture of the bruise on her arm saying, quote, "I guess these just magically appeared on my arms. So weird." So let's talk about all of this. Joining me now to discuss, Katrina Pearson, national spokeswoman for the Trump campaign. I'm also joined by Sabrina Schaefer, the executive director of the Independent Women's Forum. Sabrina Schaefer, welcome. And Jamie Weinstein, a senior editor of the Daily Caller. Welcome to all of you.
Thanks, Carol. Thank you, Carol.
Thanks for being here. Jamie, I want to start with you because Michelle Fields is your girlfriend. What does she say happened at that rally with Corey Lewandowski?
Well, let's be very clear here. What the Trump campaign is saying, to believe what they are saying in denying these allegations, you have to believe in an elaborate conspiracy theory. You have to believe that there was some type of coordination between the Washington Post and Breitbart, which is a generally pro-Trump publication, to come up with with the conspiracy to impugn Donald Trump and his campaign. And then you have to think that they came up with audio in order to support this. This is the type of thing that one believes if they believe 9/11 is an inside job. And the Trump campaign should be ashamed for impugning the character and integrity of my girlfriend, who was assaulted at that event. And I think Katrina Pearson knows the truth of this. And for her to stand by and allow these attacks to go on is shameful. Utterly, totally shameful.
Katrina?
You know, it's interesting that we have two journalists who have decided to take the word of an alleged attack. There were hundreds of reporters in that room, cameras, microphones, Secret Service. No one saw anyone get thrown to the ground, okay? So that's number one. Number two, Corey Lewandowski did not do this. Even the audio shows, allegedly, Corey saying thank you, and the incident happened after the fact. So it did not happen. And yes, that is your girlfriend, and there is a record of similar statements for other people, particularly the Daily Caller.
That's disgusting,
particularly,
and
even in the past.
Disgusting.
No,
you
it's
should
not
be ashamed.
disgusting. This
you should
did
be ashamed.
not happen.
You know her,
happen.
Katrina. You know my girlfriend, and you know what you're saying is a lie.
Which is exactly why I do know Michelle, and I think Michelle, and I do believe someone grabbed her. Someone did grab her, but it was not Corey Lewandowski. Everyone knows when the media rushed her.
Donald Trump just said no one grabbed her. What's the story, Katrina? What's the story from the Trump line right now? Donald Trump said no one grabbed her. She made it up. Now you're saying that someone did grab her. What's the new conspiracy from the Trump line?
Carol, I want to remind you. Wait, everybody stop for just a second. Katrina, you say someone grabbed Ms. Fields. Who was it? If it wasn't Corey Lewandowski, who was it?
What I'm saying is Michelle Fields said she was grabbed. Then she was probably grabbed. What I'm saying is it was not Corey Lewandowski. It was not a campaign.
The bottom line is it doesn't matter. Michelle was mistreated clearly at a Trump rally. What's concerning is that we've never had some golden era of political civility in America. But I think what people like myself and Jamie and others are recognizing is that there are simply no boundaries left anymore. Right? The fact that we saw, Carol showed us a slew of really disgusting events or incidents at Trump rallies. And I think that's the bigger issue here, right? I run a women's organization. The idea that we wouldn't swiftly condemn any kind of violence against a woman, especially someone who's simply trying to do her job as a reporter, is disgusting to me.
And Jamie, it's not like wait.
Incident occurred, why not go to the authorities? Why not go to the campaign? This was taken to Twitter, for crying out loud.
I believe Ms. Fields would go to the campaign.
No one contacted
you sound like what the left always charges the right with, saying like, well, I guess it didn't happen because she didn't go to the police. I mean, my gosh, everyone at now should be hugging me and Michelle and Jamie. They should be saying, of course she should speak up.
Carol, can I point out?
Jamie, wait. Let Jamie talk. Jamie, go on.
We're seeing several different iterations from the Trump campaign to defend themselves from this. They're trying first to impugn her character. Now, Donald Trump said last night nothing happened. Now, Katrina Pearson said, well, maybe something happened. Oh, but by the way, Michelle's character is very bad. This is a sleazy and disgusting campaign by the Trump campaign to impugn the integrity of my girlfriend. Ben Terrace, who witnessed this, is a highly respected reporter for the Washington Post. And I honestly, I don't know how someone like Katrina Pearson, who I really do believe knows the truth and believes Michelle is honest here, is coming on here and flacking for this type of disgusting character assassination. And as I said, you should be ashamed, and so should everybody in the Trump campaign who knows what they're doing right now.
She did not see. Michelle Fields herself says she did not see who did that to her.
Here's
what
the
we are
bigger point.
saying is, if it happened, it was not Corey Lewandowski, and that's the key here. You guys are accusing a man, a husband who has small children, of committing assault.
Right, here's the much bigger point. The much bigger point is that we have a lot of serious issues in this country that require political discourse. They require disagreement. That is a wonderful thing. What we don't want to see is these rallies turning into sort of violent incidences here. What we want to have is sort of cordial public discourse. That's a wonderful thing. Yeah. But grabbing reporters, muffling reporters, keeping them sort of in pens the way Hillary Clinton has, that's a bad thing. And every journalist out there ought to be speaking up about this.
Okay, so
Carol, can I make 2 points here?
Yes, please.
One is that this fits into a larger pattern of deception from the Trump campaign. You played the clip of Donald Trump saying that there have been violent protesters at his rallies. Maybe so, but according to people who cover every rally of Donald Trump who go there, they have not seen protesters coming out and swinging at the crowd. And how crazy, by the way, would it be for protesters to come out and start swinging against 9,000 other people who would be opposed to them? That would be insane. So that seems to be another deception by the Trump campaign.
Now, this is exactly what happens, though. We have liberal protesters who do these kinds of things. And no, you're right.
The people that
go to these rallies and start, yes, absolutely, it has happened. And there is video on.
When are you going to lay out the incidents of this happening?
There are people that show up to these rallies. They throw themselves on the floor.
I don't understand. If you are a Trump supporter, that's a fine thing. But you don't want these to devolve into sort of comical, ridiculous rodeos. You want this to be a serious place where you can have real conversation about serious issues, from immigration to Social Security to economic growth and job creation. You don't want this to be a distraction. If you work on the Trump campaign, I would think you would want to swiftly condemn this and move on to substantive conversations.
Which is exactly what Mr. Trump continues to do.
I would like to ask Katrina.
I would like to respond to that question. I would like to respond to that statement.
Okay, wait.
Can you let us know when the police reports filed from Trump rallies of